It is great to have you back, man. Welcome back to Blab with Bacon. And you've been on a roll. So today I want to bring you back on because I want to talk about your world domination of video and how
That's
you've been able to conquer YouTube.
Well, I'm glad we're going to talk about that because I'm not good at talking about anything else right now. I'm kind of sad, but
Well, you got a one-track mind with many audio tracks, so that's pretty cool.
that's pretty deep. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to just, yes.
Just roll with it, baby. All right. So, anybody who's got any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat window or jump on if you want to talk or ask any specific questions. And let's see. I'm going to try to share this puppy and let everybody know it's rocking and rolling. And there we go. So anyways, bro, thanks for coming back on. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And it's great to have you back on.
Hey, Brian, it's great to be here. And we always have fun.
Yes, we do.
And I think that's probably most important. And it's pretty early for me. I usually don't officially start talking at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but at least you greased up your lips, so you're ready to go, man.
Exactly. Indeed. It's so dry here in Colorado. You got to grease up everything always.
Yeah, well, there you go. Grease your pig. So let's talk video, man. What's been happening? You've gone from 0 to hero, man. You've got how many subscribers now on your YouTube channel?
I just passed 1,500 last night, so that was pretty cool.
Awesome. So how did this all start? What did you decide all of a sudden? It's like I want to be a video maven. What gave you that inspiration?
Great question. And I appreciate you asking. We talked about last time we came on, and we talked about marketing and some video, and this time it would be fun to dig in a little bit more. And really how it started was last year I launched Trust Funnel, and then afterwards I took a month off and just kind of like caught my breath and got really good at video gaming. I was like a mage level 87 video gamer guy, so that was pretty sad. And then I just kind of started getting back into it and really thinking about what would my next move be. And for me, it's always about coming up with challenges and coming up with something that's going to excite me, something that is going to be fun. And I just thought, gosh, I've done video for so many years. And furthermore, a lot of people have commented that they like the way I come across on video. And I thought, I wonder what would happen if you really focused on video. And then at the same time, I was kind of working on the new brand that one day eventually I'll officially launch. I mean, I'm pretty close now. It's like, I think people on social media see the new branding stuff. But what happened was I thought, well, I'm going to come out with Brian G. Johnson TV YouTube, Brian G. Johnson TV on Twitter, Brian G. Johnson TV on Facebook, and just kind of create a congruent brand. And because I was going to create that new YouTube channel, I thought maybe what I should do is start writing a simple ebook and share my experience. I've actually had a lot of channels on YouTube and share that experience, and that will help jumpstart the channel. And as I started to write, I thought, I really dig where this is heading. And I fired off an email to my publisher, and then I signed with Morgan James. And that's kind of how what I'm doing now came to be. It was really just an idea that I had, and also taking feedback from Joel Comm, from Colin Therio, from other people that had responded to my videos, and just thinking, this really seems like a smart and fun and challenging direction. So that's kind of how it came about.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've taken it to the nines. I mean, you've gotten, a full studio now. You've got all the lighting. You've got, the microphones. You got the editing. You're using, what are you using to edit now?
Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro. So you're doing, I mean, if anybody has seen your YouTube channel, which I have, I think everybody else here, and Phil says you now have 1,501 subscribers, dude. So you got one more.
It's actually right now, YouTube is lagging. It's actually at 1,509. So,
well, then that would make 1,510. So with this YouTube channel stuff, I mean, you've got some incredible videos. You're using a lot of transitions. You got the new logo. you've really kind of dug into it kind of deep. And I've been a video producer all my life, so I know what it takes to do, man. What you're doing is not simple. It's not easy. It's not quick. So when you're producing these videos, I know the end game is to write a book about the experience, but when you're doing it, what's your thought process in saying, hey, I'm going to write this book, but I need to kind of go through these steps to show, how it all works?
For me, I think it's two or three parts to that question, Brian. And number one, I see a lot of thought leaders. I see a lot of people that have done really well, and whatever their platform of choice is, they bang that drum really loud. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, I think it's really super important that we all look internally and look for those signals. So like Joel Kahn mentioning, you're natural at video, you're heavy on video. Here are a few ideas. And Colin Therio saying the same thing. The way you come across on video is unique. It's fun. And I started really thinking about that. And I felt like, video is my superpower. Video is the thing that I can leverage to get the results that I want. So number one, I think it's really important to understand that there's no one, the best platform. There's no one, the best way to make money. More than that, it's really having the ability to identify how you're going to create messages that your audience is going to find and build a platform. So for me, I felt like video makes sense. Now, the other side of that question is that while I think we should all look internally for the best answer, there is something to be said about we need to have a certain level of video competency to do really well online. I think if you don't do video at a small level, you're going to have a hard time moving forward and getting the kind of results that you want. If you think, how many sales pages have you seen over the last few months, especially for products that were over, let's say, $100, and how many did not have a video?
Quite a few.
Quite a few didn't have a video?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen quite a few that don't have videos, but I've seen a lot more with videos, and they're getting slicker and better produced. I know what you're saying. Yeah, there's a lot more people are getting into the studio and actually getting them shot as opposed to just taking out their camera. They're actually adding more quality to the type of video when they're doing VSLs, when they're doing video sales letters.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, you're absolutely right. There are plenty of sales pages, sales letters that don't have video, especially I think if you go lower and lower, the percentage drops considerably. However, let me ask the question again, and I want your honest, Brian, be totally honest with me. Scouts Honor?
Sure. Yep, Scouts Honor, dude. I was a Boy Scout.
At the highest level, are we in agreement that the percentage of sales pages that don't have a video drops significantly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think video adds a lot to it.
Yeah. So with that being said, if you want to be at a high level, one of the things I do is not try to figure it out and be like some rocket scientist. I look at what other people are doing, and then I emulate their movements. I never copy what someone else does, but I'm going to look to how they build their business. What are some of the things they use? And video is important. Furthermore, I mean, if we just look at what's buzzing right now, it's live video. I hear a lot of people talking about live video, and that's just one element of the video umbrella. So I think that while it's important to look internally and really come up with a strategy that makes sense, I think it makes good sense to have a certain level of video ability to connect with people, because one of the things in my book, Trust Funnel, is that I wrote about the power of video and media to build trust and expedite the process in which trust happens. In other words, how quickly can we build trust with someone that doesn't know us? And someone listening to your podcast over a few days, I think they're going to really get a sense of who you are, because they can listen, they can hear, they can get a sense of your personality. And video does that at the same level, if not perhaps a little bit higher, because not only can they listen, they can watch. So,
right. No, I have to agree with you. And I did two different things. I have two different bundles. I have a checklist bundle, and then I just launched today It's theproductivitybundle.com. And I didn't do a video on the first one, but I did do a video on the second one. And I can say that the second one is ramping up a heck of a lot quicker and is a lot more successful because of just what you said. Is I got the Bacon Studio ready, and I actually explained who I am, what I do, and talked about what's included so that they got to know me, because I think that's one of the things that they didn't see is all they saw was these pieces of paper that they were going to get rather than, somebody who knows what they're talking about or somebody who's been through the trenches and has something to offer, So I agree with you 110%.
When you say that, I start to really think about it. And one of the things that I think is critical and important, and it's not just so much video, but it's really this idea of media and building trust quickly, is when somebody lands on a sales page, if you do have a video on it, you have a chance to convey something that is greatly different from everything else online. And the reason why is that a video encompasses one's personality. And that is so powerful to be able to separate yourself from other people and also to have a mechanism where people can kind of gauge and get to know you and whatnot. One of the things that's really interesting that I've seen, Brian, talking about sales and whatnot, is that I haven't really done a lot of sales yet. I'm actually selling a lot right now, that's pretty cool to be able to be in a position where you're not actively selling, but you're facilitating sales because what you're putting out to the world is being deemed by other people as valuable. So That's pretty awesome that people are, and the way that's happening is people are contacting me and they're looking for coaching on video and they're asking, how can I move forward? And I'm working with them moving forward in that kind of a manner. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing with podcasting because I've been doing the podcast for so long. I'm getting people contacting me saying, I need help with my podcast. How can you help me? And I've actually gotten some coaching clients that have done exactly that. So I get it. It does. Just by doing and showing that you can do it and putting out a good quality product, people respect that. And then they'll come back and say, hey, I know this guy can help me. It's not some kind of scam or some kind of, trick or something like that. So the question I got for you is now you're putting together these videos and you're not doing these little short 1-2 minute videos. I mean, you're doing like 14-minute, 20-minute training videos. How do you plan that stuff out? How do you actually write it out first? Do you script it or do you, just kind of go with the flow?
Somewhere in the middle. I don't believe if you really want to expedite the growth, let's do this. Hold that question.
Okay.
And there's one other element of why, we kind of started off with why YouTube? Why are you focusing so much on video and YouTube? And there was one other piece of that, one other component I want to talk about, and that is the discoverability factor. So one of the things that I really started thinking about was we have all these different platforms we can use. We can podcast, which allows us to be on iTunes, super powerful. We can create a blog and we can create content and we can post to which we can upload to Google, which can allow us to rank in Google, super powerful. We can use Snapchat, which is growing exponentially, which is really exciting and it's new and whatnot. Blab is another thing we can do. We have all these platforms that we can leverage. And from my viewpoint, none of them really have the longevity that YouTube does. And right now, if we were to go to YouTube and search for, let's say, like best video editing software, we'd find videos that were published a year ago, 2 years ago. I know Daryl Eves, who was at that Ken MacArthur event we were at in Denver in the spring. He's got a video on that subject that's ranked really, really well. And it was published 3 years ago. So if you start thinking about taking an active stance with creating video content that you upload on a regular basis, and you really are paying attention to keywords, you're paying attention to creating videos that are going to rank, you have the opportunity to create basically a mini sales vehicle that can draw people to you for a number of years. And then when you put on top of that, like let's say you're going to end up doing 100 videos a year, that's really, really powerful. And that was kind of the last component. I'm like, I get to geek out. I get to think about SEO again, which that's how I started years ago. I was like a Google SEO guy. And all of these things combined just made, this is something I'm excited to talk about and to share about. And while everyone's talking about Snapchat, when everyone was excited about Blab, and all of a sudden now people are saying Blab is dying. So, okay, YouTube is old, but YouTube's not going anywhere. And YouTube is the second largest search engine. It's the third largest site online. And there is so much opportunity for those people that can cut through the new shiny and just get down to brass tacks and to focus on creating content that helps people out. Great things can happen.
Okay, so explain this for people who have no clue. What is the difference between just getting a Gmail account and now all of a sudden you have YouTube that you can upload things to, because as soon as you sign into Google is that? What's the difference between being Brian G. Johnson and then having a YouTube channel called Brian G. Johnson TV?
The difference is basically you elect to create a channel, and the process is very simple. You go to YouTube, you go into Creator Studio, which basically when you're on YouTube and you're signed in, there's an icon up in the right-hand corner, and that's attached to your Google Plus account. And you literally tap into your icon, and that opens up the ability to create a channel. And at that point, you can upload your videos to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, then you can create a brand and a channel. I kind of like to talk about a brand and a channel in one swoop. And I'll just mention quickly, it's great to see Deb here, as well as we
got Deb Jansen, and Deb Cryer is here as well. Oh my
gosh, that's why I was tripping. I'm like, I feel like
you're being Deb.
Deb. I just said hi to Deb, and I'm like, wait, all I needed to do was go ×2.
That's right. So it's Brian ×2 and Deb ×2.
Well, it's great to see you both, and there's some other awesome people in here too. I did share this out. Good to see you, Phil. And is Jeff in here? Oh, Jeff's
Herrings. Yeah, he's here, man.
Jeff, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
So let's go to the next step. So now you create this YouTube channel. What is your process of populating it? I mean, what kind of things did you start doing, and what are you doing currently, and what are you going to do in the future?
Really great question. So let's talk about success and what it takes. And basically, if you want to be successful when it comes to video, there are two things that you have to, number one, be aware of, that you have to identify, and you then have to address these issues. And the first one is a system. You've got to have a system in place that makes it easy to create videos. And if you and the last part of that statement is create videos on a consistent basis. Because if you're in online marketing, or you're an entrepreneur, if you've got a small business, you're not going to come out with a viral video that's going to explode your business. The chance of that happening is incredibly slim, but it's very, very possible to create I'm going to publish 2 videos a week, and I'm going to be consistent, and I'm going to do that over time, and I'm going to pay attention to keywords, that's kind of part 2. So part 1, though, is let's kind of get back to the system. You've got to create a system that makes it easy to create those videos twice a week. And for a lot of people, I think what happens is, they get excited by the opportunity and the possibility to do video, and they see someone like me doing the kinetic text and the transitions, and that takes a fair amount of knowledge and expertise and learning to pull off. And they make a video to try to achieve that level of production, and they spend way too much time, and then they give up because they never stopped and said, I need to have a system that will allow me to create on a consistent basis. So if you look at my early videos from 2008, it was like, this was the production. And it's interesting because these videos generated me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty, I got to be honest, it was pretty slick. I took this plastic thing. And then I set it up on a shelf and I just started sharing information. And when we talk about the system, I think it's really important that we stop and we kind of mention that the visual effects are fun. The visual effects are engaging. Having a personality can help you keep people watching, which is helpful. The most important thing is to be able to deliver value. And I was able to do that with this kind of a setup. Super cheap, super simple. There was zero editing. Set it on the desk. I started talking. This was screen capture. I would literally like hold it up to the monitor and record the monitor. And that was screen capture. I didn't know what the hell screen capture was. And it was plenty good, and people followed, and I had videos that ranked, and I made money, and I started really creating the Brian G. Johnson brand. So that was, for me, my journey, you know, and year after year, I was able to do a little bit more and improve my system. I remember last year, do you remember all the videos I made, or you probably saw some of them, I should say, Brian.
I've seen a lot of them, yeah. A lot of the videos
outside on Facebook.
Yep.
And it was like I was able to create those in 90 minutes, start to finish. So I had created a system. It was super simple. It was an iPhone. It was a tripod. It was an idea. It was a bit of inspiration, and boom, let's get on it. You grab the tripod, you throw the phone up on the tripod, and you share. And a lot of people really enjoyed those videos. And it was easy for me to be consistent with that because it didn't interfere with the overall production and whatnot. And then this year it was like, okay, can we take that to a whole nother place? And I kind of knew what I was getting into. I mean, not really, but I had a basic idea. And so for me, the first 2 months of my new channel was just learning the DSLR, was learning the editing software. And I had goals of growing. But more than that, I really, when I look back, I gave myself the space and time to create a system that I could fall back on. And towards the end of that phase, it was weird. I was talking to our friend Felicia, and it was like I was having this little manic conversation with myself. It's like all of a sudden, Mini Brian would pop up on my shoulder, and it would be like, you are an artist. You make beautiful videos for all the people on the internet to enjoy. And then, boom, you're a marketer. You can't spend 35 hours editing one. Have you lost your godforsaken mind? And I was like, artist, marketer, artist. And I kind of wound up in the middle, and I found a place where my videos still have fun transitions and effects, and they're engaging. And I'm able to do that because I took the time to learn the skills, learn the software, and now I'm streamlining, tweaking, and what used to take me 30 hours now takes me 2 hours to 5 hours a day, which is still ridiculous, totally ridiculous. But if you're going to be a video guy, maybe that's okay.
Oh, yeah. We used to take us upwards of 10 hours per finished minute. If when I did video way back yonder, I mean, the tools have actually gotten faster. But it would take you from start to finish 10 hours per finished minute. So it would, take you like 100 hours to do a 10-minute video sometimes. It just depended on how complex it got.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you, Deborah. Jason, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, exactly. Depending on how complex it got. And some of the earlier videos I made, I was stringing a ton of clips together, and I'd have to find the clips and search for the clips. And then you got to pull them into the editor. You got to save them to the hard drive. Then you got to pull them into Final Cut Pro. Then you got to find the right part of the clip for that section of the audio. And if you do that 50 times, all of a sudden, that alone is 6 hours of work. Right. And so I stopped doing those. It was like, we're not doing those anymore.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, you know about systems, man. I'm all about systems. That's the shameless self-promotion of the day. But I agree with you 110%. It's all about, once you start to create a system, then it's a lot easier to replicate, and you know exactly where you're heading and what it's going to take so that you can kind of gauge, because at the beginning, like you said, I mean, you're spending 6 hours to do something. Now you can get it done in 2 because you know step by step what you're going to do.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I think is huge.
Now it's cool. It's like I am publishing, gosh, I've published every day for probably like the last week or so. And I'd say since June, I've probably published 37 times, probably even more than that, maybe 40 times. And that's a lot. And the reason I'm doing that is because I understand how the YouTube algorithm works, and I want to grow that audience. And like I said, right now we're at 1,500, and it took me 112 days to hit 1,000 subscribers. And the growth rate is tremendous. Basically every 28 days, my subscriber growth and my view growth doubles. So every 28 days, it's like it just doubled. And right now I'm like, how long can you keep that going? Because if you can keep that going a while,
Well, there are people out there with 1 million subscribers. It happens,
40 million.
Right, exactly. So, but it's the consistency. It's having good content, because that's really the key. Is you got to have something that people want.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, is doing things that that people are going to consume. So let's go back to the question I asked you before.
Yeah.
About content. You started off doing something, you had an idea of doing some training videos, and then you kind of evolved into, some more training videos, but not as much as you were doing originally. At least I don't think so. And now, what is the future plan? How are you progressing this, and what is the content that you're putting out there?
Well, I'm curious, and let me flip the table on you. I'd love to get your feedback, since I'm on the inside. Explain to me like how I've transitioned a little bit, and tell me more about what you're seeing with my content, because I'm curious.
Well, at the beginning, you were doing like, how to use a piece of software, like how to edit something. And now I see you more philosophically talking about using video, using different tactics. And then where is that going to take you next? Because you were getting into the nitty gritty stuff, I think, before. Now you're a little bit more broad brush, where you're talking more about general tactics and things like that as I watch your videos now. And, where's that progressing to?
I see. So interesting. So one of the things I mentioned was really just coming up with a system that allows me to create faster, and being able to stand in front of the camera and share my experience, and then maybe put a few pictures into it or screen captures, maybe take some screen capture footage and incorporate that in. Still takes time, but it's nowhere near what I was doing before. So,
right.
And I think that's what you're seeing now. A lot of my early videos were really long, and a lot of my videos still are long. And I had so many people tell me, short videos. And in my opinion, that's not the way to go. And I took advice from YouTube, which says, we reward videos in search that keep viewers watching longer. And a really big component of the YouTube algorithm is what's called view duration. And view duration is the percentage of the video that people watch, or how many minutes they watch. And some of my best performing videos have really good view duration. So really what I'm doing now is I will create the videos where I'm in front of the camera. And a lot of times I do transition to screen capture. And a lot of people, they're going to drop off in a few minutes, so they probably never see that screen capture. So I'm still doing the tutorials. I'm still talking about that. But right now, it's really about sharing case studies about my channel.
Right, exactly.
Right as it's happening. And this is interesting now that you said it, like us talking it out, it helps me think about it. I didn't want to be the guy to come on and create a YouTube channel about how to create a YouTube channel with 0 subscribers. Offering all this amazing advice.
Right.
And I felt like even now, sharing advice on how to grow a YouTube channel is really, really challenging, because I'm competing with channels that do have 2 million subscribers. And their social proof is so much larger than mine. And at the same time, I have data to back up what I'm saying is working. And in fact, the growth rate that I've seen in my channel, I haven't really seen in many other channels. It's really, really exciting. And I see other channels that are driving 5 times the views, but we have the same amount of daily subscribers, which tells me that I'm doing something right. But people aren't going to see that at face value. What they see is a guy making a video. They look at how many views the video has. They look at how many subscribers the channel has. And you kind of have to overcome that. And And because of that, I didn't want to be that guy that come on with 0 and 0 and 0 and try to, like, you know, be the master of YouTube, because that's kind of a crock of crap. So I waited to get some results that I could share. And then people that have known me, they're kind of seeing me share this, and they're like, wow, that's really impressive. Those are some really cool results. And that's allowing me to build and whatnot. And I definitely feel like I found my voice in the last 4 months. You know, when I started, it was me, it was quirky, and it's still me, and it's still quirky. But just by doing, you learn. And
right.
One of the things that saddens me is I see so many people, you know, waiting to get started until they have it all dialed in, and it's really hard to have it all dialed in, especially if you're not doing anything, because we change, you know, we change our trajectory, we change our path, we decide to go in a slightly different place, and we would never get to that point of making that decision if we hadn't begun. And I see a lot of people making a lot of plans, and then they change them anyway, which is kind of
right.
sad, to spend all this time making a plan that you never execute because you just changed it. So get on with it.
Well, and things evolve. You know, I mean, something new is going to come out today or tomorrow that's going to change the trajectory of what you're doing. You know, I mean, Google's talking about Google Live, you know, here soon, and that's going to change everything in a lot of ways, because now there'll be like live streaming TV type things where you have these complete productions going on. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as much like Facebook Live, which tends to be, on the most part, they tend to be short, just in your face, this is what's happening kind of things. That's the way most people are using it. People like Joel Comm, who I've seen him on there for an hour and a half, you know, doing like an hour and a half show, which is kind of rare. But I don't think people in Facebook have the attention span for that. Where on Google, I could see that happening. So, you know, if you at least get into it and start, you know, playing around and seeing what's happening. I mean, one of the things I saw with your evolution is that you evolved from somebody who it was quirky and funny and all this other stuff, but you've really kind of polished it now. You've really got it down, like you say, that system. I could see the evolution from where you're at, because I could look at it with a slightly critical eye. You know, I mean, we used to have, I mean, to do what you're doing right now, I mean, I'd walk around with an $80,000 camera on my shoulder, and we had, you know, it was like a $45,000 to $100,000 switcher with different video machines, and you'd actually sit here, and then you had a digital editor that you had to program with programming language, and you'd go back, and just to do a transition, you'd switch from tape A to tape B, and then you do that transition, and then you move on from there, and then put in the rest of the tape. I mean, it was so complex, and we evolved. I mean, when we started out, it was really simple and basic, and you know, and then as we started getting slicker and slicker, we started adding components to it that you couldn't even imagine. It's like, how the hell did you do that? You know? So you've really evolved in the technique that you've kind of grown with.
Well, and it's just really trying to understand what the audience is going to respond to. And one of the things that's been really cool is that as soon as you create a channel on YouTube, you've got all these amazing analytics, and really the way I'm evolving is not based solely on what I want to do. I'm always going to follow me and who I am and what I want to create, but I'm also really taking a huge look at the data from each individual video, and I'm looking for what's working and what's not, and I'm tweaking my production, and I'm tweaking the videos. And really now what you see is kind of that quirky personality way up in your face in the beginning, super goofy, but it's also on point and it's on topic. And so I'll kind of take a topic, and then I don't have to work at it because it's how I am, and I'll see a weird kind of goofy angle, and I'll do that, and then I'll say that's what we're going to talk about. And in that intro, I think it grabs people's attention, and it's different, and it's very consistent. It's the same font, it's the same type of music, and that helps me create a brand that's memorable. And then from there, it's into the brand kind of introduction, so the value proposition, and then it's into the meat of the video. So if I do a video on like iMovie effects or something, I'm going to do something that's quirky and different and fun, and then I'm going to show an example of that. So basically people know that what they're after, they're going to get in my video. And really the name of the game for me is really to create a video that is optimized for humans and that they enjoy. And some of the time I'm going to take the time to do something that's longer, and I'm going to work really hard to keep it engaging and popping all the way through to extend that viewing session, or that view duration, I should say. And that helps me to rank well. And it's kind of like this weird SEO thing. It's like SEO, but it's also video, and it's also leveraging a personality. So it's kind of like what I used to do in 2003, applied for video with new metrics, and having the attention span and having the experience in the age with me now, where I can really look at all these things and make educated decisions based on, where I want to go. Like maybe what I'll do is a video case study inside of a video case study. And the reason why is because I think it was about 10 days ago, Brian, I came out with a video on video search optimization for YouTube. And it was about a 28 or 25 minute video, which is pretty long.
Right.
And at the same time, I wanted to unload a lot of ideas, and I wanted to really walk people through like the core fundamentals. And to do that, you can't do that in 2 minutes. People say make shorter videos. You can't go into depth and talk about analytics and keyword optimization, and you can't do that well in 2 minutes. And the other thing that I'll say about that is, for somebody that's searching for exactly that thing, they're going to watch longer. They're really interested in that topic. So it's a different kind of thing where you're just publishing it to Facebook, and then people that like you might watch, but they weren't waking up that morning thinking, I want to watch a video on YouTube optimization, versus someone that's searching for that. So in that video, I did all the things I talk about. I was on camera. I had some cool effects. I talked about, it was really funny, and Felicia shared, and other people shared, and it got traction with that, which helps. And then I get the analytics back about 3 days later. And during that 3-day period, I'm like, please let the analytics be good. Please let the analytics be good. And you're kind of like, it's like this, what's going to happen? And I got an average view duration of close to 7 minutes, which is really, really good. And now that video shot up, it got a ton of views, and then it crashed because the promotion was over. And then it kind of trickled along. And now just yesterday, I saw an uptick, and I can kind of see that YouTube is starting to push it out in more places. It's being discovered more often. And, I'd say 6 weeks ago, I had 2 videos that were really crushing it and driving my growth. And right now I have 3 without a question, and probably 6 or 7 overall that are going to do well. Like maybe not all of them, but I mean, it's absolutely growing exponentially based on, making these changes and whatnot.
That's awesome. I love the way you explain the analytics. What are some of the other analytics that people need to look at and think about when they're doing video inside of Google?
Well, I think as entrepreneurs, we have a goal of wanting people to see our stuff, right? And hopefully stick around and pay attention to what we do tomorrow and whatnot. And YouTube is exactly the same way. And YouTube's goal is to get people on their platform, because that's how they make money. YouTube makes money when people come to YouTube and they start watching videos. And the more videos people watch, the longer they stay on YouTube, the more ads YouTube can serve, and the more money they can make. And this is why average view duration is important, because it's a signal that people like the video. If you ask the question, let's talk more about the analytics. I think we really have to cover what it used to be and what the algorithm looked like and why it was terribly broken. And that was the algorithm was based on views. And that was an algorithm that was very easy to fake out. And what you had was a whole bunch of video thumbnails of women's butts and boobs, and people would click on them, and then they wouldn't get what they wanted. So they would leave. So they would, it's basically, you've heard of clickbait before. Well, clickbait on YouTube is really a big deal, because not only are you writing and creating metadata around a video, but you're uploading a picture that's attached to every video. So having the ability to create something that is beautiful, easy to understand, aligned perfectly with the video, delivers on the value of the video is key. And YouTube saw that, it's easy for people to get a view by really being dishonest and clickbaiting people. But how many of those videos are engaging and keep people watching? So they switched the algorithm from views to watch time. And that happened probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And that's why you see me posting regularly these pretty good looking thumbnails that are they're pretty clean. They're kind of clean and messy all at the same time. I mean, they're very easy to read. They're easy to understand, super high contrast. And without question, I know that my thumbnails are driving more views, because as people are searching, they're more enticing. That helps me drive a view, which of course there's a huge correlation between the amount of views you get in your overall watch time. The other thing I want to brush on is kind of where I started with, as entrepreneurs, we want to get people watching our stuff, visiting our website. And because YouTube is in the same business, one of their goals is ultimately to reward channels that initialize what's called a session time. So every time I share a video on Facebook and then people come from Facebook to YouTube, I've initiated a YouTube session. So those are visitors that were not on the platform, and I just sent them there and I get rewarded. Now, what's really exciting about session time is that you might see one of my thumbnails, you might jump to my channel and then watch other videos by other creators, but I still get credit for the amount of time that you were on the platform, because I initiated the session. Gotcha. The other thing that we need to talk about when we talk about session time is that if somebody goes to YouTube and they land on the page and they're looking at all the videos they could view, and then they decide they're going to watch a video by Brian Basilico, Brian Basilico gets credit with initiating the session, because really the user hadn't done much and there was no signal to YouTube as far as who should be credited, who should we reward. So if they click on your video, whatever video it is, YouTube's going to say, okay, there was 40 choices for that individual, and they selected Brian Basilico, so we're going to give credit to Brian. And really what I teach is YouTube is broken up into 3 components, and we've talked about 2 of them. One of them is watch time, which is individual video authority. And the more people watch, the more authority the video has, and the more opportunity it's going to be able to rank for a large assortment of keywords. It makes sense. People are deeming it authoritative, and YouTube addresses it in just that way. On the other authority part of the algorithm is what we just talked about with session time. And YouTube really can't assess or measure authority in a session on a per video basis. Like what video are they going to stick that authority on? So really what I'm seeing is there's per video authority, and then there's per channel authority. And your session time is going to help you gain authority on your channel, which over time, as you upload more and more videos, your channel is going to gain more authority, and that's going to help those individual videos to rank better. Which, if that's where it ended, it would be crooked, and nobody starting out would have any chance at all, because all the older channels with millions of subscribers would clean up. Nobody would be able to compete. So if you're thinking, well, I'm just getting started, or I don't have much of anything yet, how can I get my foot in the door? You can get your foot in the door by paying attention to relevance, keyword relevance. And if you target a very specific keyword and your video title and your description is highly relevant for that one keyword phrase, you're going to have a much easier time ranking for that phrase, because you're so relevant. And if you look, and it's interesting, have you ever noticed, Brian, there's a little tab by the YouTube search bar. It says filter. Have you ever clicked it? Have you ever clicked it?
No, I've never clicked it.
Oh, yeah. And I thought, oh, my God, we've got a winner. Nobody's ever clicked it. And if you click it, you'll see it says search results are currently based on relevancy. And there are about 4 options, but nobody clicks it and nobody changes it, which means that you should really pay attention to relevancy. And when I started out, I had a lot of ideas and theories, and I went forward and I started testing all these ideas. And when I tested out relevancy,
boom,
bam,
pixie dust.
Boom, a serious pixie dust. And at the time I had, for that video you were speaking about, the iMovie video, it was like 25 minutes. I had iMovie app tutorial for iPhone and iPad. I had the title was like this long, and I wasn't ranking for much of anything. And then I thought, maybe we need to test relevancy. So I went back and I created a title that was iMovie app tutorial. That was it. And sure enough, about 10 days later, my views doubled from about 15 a day to about 30, and then they went up to 40. And then what starts happening is you're touching on the per video authority, watch time, because your views are going up. And if you're keeping people watching longer, then it exponentially increases your watch time. And then I added a few keywords. I added iPad and iPhone. I didn't have those. Originally, it was iMovie app tutorial. And what's interesting is when I go back and I look at those results, very few videos that were in the first 20 results had the word app in them. So their relevancy score was really bad. Mine was 100%, and I was able to drive those views. And that's kind of a little bit of the secret sauce that I'm leveraging and sharing on my channel.
I love it, man. Okay, a couple observations. This is the first time in all of my podcasts and all of my blabs that anybody has ever mentioned butts and boobs. Secondly, Phil says, I need an accordion teacher who can explain the process as well as Brian G explains the YouTube process. Accordion remains hopeless. YouTube is suddenly an option.
Phil, we're best of buds at this point. In fact, like, I live a cinematograph movie life, and everything is seen in the viewfinder now. And I've got like this picture of me walking into an event with an accordion. I think it would be a big hit. What do you think, Brian?
I think it's awesome. I used to play accordion, believe it or not. We had one in our house. My sister oh yeah. My sister was, I grew up Italian, New York, so everybody's playing accordion, You got to have that with your pasta.
Jeff Herring says, do it.
I agree. I think it would be absolutely cool if you could walk in holding an accordion, playing accordion music. You don't even have to learn how to play it; just have somebody play it in the back. I
don't know if I would do that, but I do. Joel Comm sent me a ukulele, and one day I was on Facebook, and I'm like, I need a ukulele. I don't even know where it came from, but it was like I need.
That's awesome.
And then about 10 days later in the mail, I get a little ukulele.
Have you learned to play it yet?
Not really, but when I went to my second photo shoot for my new branding stuff, I brought it with me.
That's awesome.
And I've got pictures, with the rock stars, and they're holding the guitar up. So I'm doing the same thing, only I've got a little ukulele. That's
awesome. Is it a full-size ukulele, or is it just a little mini one?
It's a regular size.
Okay,
there's 3. There's 2 or 3. There's the mini, there's the miniature poodle, there's the standard poodle.
And then there's the huge poodle.
Exactly.
So awesome, dude. All right, I got one other question for you, and I'm going to have to end this just a little bit before because I've got a call immediately at 10.
No problem.
The last question is, you're talking about authority and all these things on Google and YouTube, but what about creating stuff, putting it up on YouTube, and then embedding it on your own website? How does that work as far as ranking and views and all that stuff go?
Well, again, if we think of, pardon me, little French bubbles inside making me burp, but now it's okay. I answered the question. Little teeny tiny every day, millions of small, teeny tiny beings are dying an untimely death, and you can help. Yes, my friends, I'm talking about small, teeny tiny bubbles. Make the choice. Drink unfiltered, unbubbly, bubbly water today. Okay, anyway.
I need you to do that exact same thing, except with a salad. And basically say that many vegetables are being murdered every day for salads. Can we please stop the madness?
So I'm pretty sure it was a pretty important question. What was it again?
The question is embedded videos. How does that work with Google ranking?
Well, again, what I do is I always, anytime I'm looking at trying to become more discoverable, whether it's Snapchat or Twitter or Facebook, I look at all the things I can, and then I look at, okay, those are 87 elements. And every time I publish a piece of content, if I try to put it through 80 different things, my brain is going to explode. And I don't know if you've seen my brain explode before, but it ain't pretty. So then I go, okay, so can't do that. But what are the most critical elements? And I come up with 6 or 9 or 12. And at the top of YouTube, it's watch time, it's a channel authority, session time, it's relevancy. And if you think about those 3 things alone, if you say video embedded in your website, you're going to gain more authority as people watch it. It also is a link back to your channel. So that's kind of interesting. It doesn't look like a link, but there is a link. It goes to your YouTube channel, and that helps you gain authority as far as Google. And as you get more embeds, there's talk about being able to rank in Google and whatnot. I tell you what, I think the very best thing people can do is to look at what is important to human beings and address those things, and also be aware of how these algorithms work. And if you do that, like with the video embeds, like you've got a website, stick it on your stick the video on your website. Awesome. And it's going to help you do better. And just by focusing on the human aspect, you're going to do well. So we have very short attention spans. How can you overcome that? Be fun, be engaging, be willing to take a little bit of a risk. If it doesn't work, well, you're probably right back where you started from, and you can try something else. And by doing this kind of a thing, I found a system that works really well. So that's my story, and I'm going to stick to that story.
Awesome. So if somebody wanted to get started to learn more, what's the best way for them to find you? How do they learn or pick the brains of Mr. Brian G. Johnson?
They can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Brian G. Johnson TV. And
they should go subscribe.
Yeah, people can subscribe, and I upload lots of information quite often, and a lot of people are saying a lot of nice things about it. So that's kind of cool. And I'm there, and Brian G. Johnson TV is launching sometime soon in the future. We're getting close to having that all figured out and whatnot. Thanks for having me, buddy. And Jeff, thanks for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to see you, Jeff. And Deb is still here. And Don't Want to Grow Up is here as well. And I don't want to, it's not even that I don't want to. I ain't doing it. So there you go.
Just do it, Brian. I'm
not growing up. No.
Nah. All right. Well, then don't grow up. If you don't want to do it, don't grow up. It's all good. So, hey, man, this has been a blast. It will be put on Blab with Bacon and put on YouTube, because that's Excellent. The beauty. That's what I love about Blab is as soon as I'm done with these, I put them up on my YouTube channel, which I've been getting a lot of subscribers to the Blabs, which is a great thing. So I've been following what you've been talking about. Yeah, so it goes up there. It goes at Blab with Bacon, and it's called Repurposing Content, which is the mantra Om that Jeff Herring talks about all the time, repurposing content.
We need to have a panel about that.
I agree.
About the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And here's what I'm going to suggest. I would love to get Jeff Herring, maybe Felicia Slattery, maybe Joel Comm, maybe you, all on a Blab to talk about just that repurposing content. Oh, he said, I'll be the ugly.
No, you're not ugly.
No, he's not. No. Especially not when he brings along Chubby, the content skeleton. It's very becoming.
But he needs a sandwich bad.
He does. Yeah, but he's got a girlfriend now, so he does. Chubby's got a girlfriend, yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, thanks for having me on, buddy. You know what I need to go do now?
What's that?
I got to go edit a bunch of videos and upload.
All right, well, you go do your thing, man. And Jeff says, make no bones about it. I love it. All right, you have an awesome day. We will talk to you soon on the Flip Flop, and go check out Amplify the radio show, because me and Brian did a show. It's with Ken Rashan, so go check that podcast out. Just search for Brian G. Johnson or Brian Basilico, and you'll find it. So awesome, dude. Great stuff. Thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge, and look forward to watching more of your great videos, dude.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, dude. All right, later.
Peace. Poof.